If my eyes are watery, it's because I just yawned. I'm just gonna get right into this video. Hi, hello, my name is Marisela, and welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. I usually don't sit here while I'm doing my makeup, so this is gonna be really weird. We're gonna be doing a little get ready with me video while I talk about why I am no longer a vegetarian, pescatarian, plant-based after 10 years of doing that. It's just, I put in my hair back because it's getting a little long now. And I do have mascara on from the day, but I don't think that'll really matter. Also, I'm not like no makeup guru, makeup professional, so if I'm doing something wrong, also I don't think there's a wrong way to do makeup, to be honest. I think that if you're having fun, that's it. There's probably like more efficient ways, but I don't think there's a right and wrong way to do things. So keep your comments to yourself unless you're talking about how good it is. Thank you. So anyways, so let's just rewind time. I was vegetarian, pescatarian, plant-based, everything along those lines for 10 years, and I'm 24. So I started eating meat again last year. Next month will be 1 year since I started eating meat again, so I thought it'd be a good time to just talk about everything. Just wanted to put my story out there. So I went vegetarian first when I was 13 years old, and it was super young, obviously, and a really big decision. And what made me do that in the first place was I just love animals. I've always been such like an animal lover. Like, there's a lot that went into it. One of my favorite animals when I was growing up was a pig, and that might sound weird, but it was like just like an inside thing with me and my grandma. She had always given me like little piggy stuffed animals, and you know, I became aware that pork is pig. I had learned that maybe when I was like, or became like conscious of it when I was like 8 or 9. And what I did at the time was, because my family is Catholic, not like super religiously Catholic, but I did go to a Catholic school in 5th grade, so I was like 9, 10 years old. For Lent that year, I went and gave up pork, and that was my first kind of intro to giving up meats. Honestly, it went really well. I felt really happy for myself because it was like something I could control. I felt like I was doing the right thing for the pigs, for myself. My grandma had told me they were like the dirtiest, one of the dirtiest animals, that and shrimp. So I was like, damn, you know, that was enough for me at the time. And I think, I don't quite remember, but I don't think I really ate much pork after Lent was up. The summer before going to my freshman year of high school, so I was 14, so 9 years vegetarian, whatever. I remember that summer diving into like food documentaries and things like that, and I remember just how terrible I felt for the animals and how bad they were treated. And I was like, ain't no way. like there's no way people just like consume that and so carelessly, and it's such like a disconnect between people and our food, where I was like, this is really messed up. Like, I can't believe this is something that I'm just consuming and it's normal. Like, it didn't feel right to me, and I just felt so bad. Like, I would watch those documentaries and I would be crying. Like, it was not good. I didn't give it up right away at that point because like I'm super young at this time too. something that was that was really big was Tumblr. And I was using Tumblr at the time, and I remember, you know, just following blogs that were vegan and vegetarian and all that stuff, and like learning about different environmental impacts. I ended up watching other documentaries, and I could not tell you the name of any of these documentaries that I'm talking about because I don't remember, but I remember, yeah, I was gonna say I remember one of them, but I don't remember like fucking anything. Learning not only how bad they treat the animals, but how bad it was for the environment too, to mass produce all these animals, and like all the methane released from the cows and all that stuff. Like, it just sounded like, why are we even doing this? It didn't feel right. Like, in my heart, in my soul, it did not feel right at all to be consuming something like that. And so I think there was probably lead up to me talking about this with my mom, because I remember one day I was just like, I'm not eating this no more, like I can't. And she was like, okay. And I was like, oh, okay, you know, whatever. And then the next day she tried to feed me chicken. I was like, Mom, like I'm not doing this. She was like, oh, you're serious? And I was like, yeah. And you never know how that's gonna go over, especially being so young, and basically telling my mom like I'm not eating the food you just put on my plate, especially in a Hispanic household. And that's something I really had to learn and deal with, because, you know, it's part of the culture, and there's a lot of cultural foods with meat. We didn't eat like traditional Mexican food all the time, but like, you know, we ate chicken and more poultry than dark meat or red meat. My mom didn't really buy a lot of red meat. But along with that, like, you know, everybody else in my house ate meat. This was an individual decision that I came to, and because of that, like, she had to buy me different foods. I had to learn to cook some things on my own because she was not about to be cooking all that different food. Like, unless it was just already part of the plan to eat something without meat. And I was really proud about that. I did really well. And I think it taught me that responsibility really young. But some disadvantages of that, like obstacles along the way, is like, this was 2014, and like, while they've made so much progress now making inclusive options, and you can find like a plant-based something everywhere, that wasn't the case at the time. There was times where like I wasn't gonna find shit on the menu, or like there was very limited grocery store items that were like plant-based. I believe the only brand I remember us ever buying back then was Morningstar, and that was like, it was not that good at the time. Like, that fake meat was very obviously fake. The texture was off, the taste was off, but it was also something I signed up for, so I wasn't really complaining. So that led me to also not giving up fish. So I was pescatarian mainly, and for majority of this time I was, because it just was easier on like going out to eat, and also like family events and stuff, like just, you know, making sure that there's something I can eat, because people will cook fish before they cook like something they don't know anything about, like a veggie patty that tastes like shit. There was like some good things that came out of it. Obviously, I felt like I was doing the right thing. Like I said, I made like presentations in high school about the environmental impact of eating meat, just to like help people be aware of like, this is, you know, I would never tell somebody like what to do or what to feel, or, you know, I'm never gonna be like, that's bad, you can't eat that, because I know that that's something that happens a lot in the plant-based spaces, and that's just never been me. Because I don't care what you're doing. Like, obviously I wanted to spread the good and like inform people, but like ultimately it's their decision to make, and I've always felt that way ever since I was a kid. There's also like times where like my mom really did want to, you know, be involved with it, and I really appreciated her for that. She would do like meatless Mondays and try and incorporate meals for the whole family with no meat, so that like one, she could also do it, also have something for me to eat, which was super nice. And I felt like, you know, I was helping my family in that way. Just learn to try different stuff. This is actually so hard to talk and do makeup at the same time. I've actually never talked while doing my makeup. So that was just some things on the story of me becoming. Look at how that just covered that up, like, in case you're wondering. It's the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Foundation, the dewy finish in the color cream beige. Oh, and this is the palette I used for eyeshadow. It's really like I only have like 2 eyeshadow palettes, and this has the most like variety. So that's what I went with. And yeah, and it was going really well for really a lot of the time that I was pescatarian, vegetarian. I went vegan in 2019, which was really fun. I did it for about a year, and then I went back to just vegetarian when COVID hit. Yeah, so it's just easier to go back to being vegetarian instead of vegan when I moved back home and COVID hit and I wasn't buying my own groceries. Over time, I started developing different allergies, and that was another reason it was unsustainable for me to be vegan. Excuse me. Some of the main things when you are vegan is avocados and bananas for healthy fats, right? Well, guess what? I became allergic to. Being vegan, you can't be allergic to those things because it's like, those are the healthy fats that you need, because you're not gonna get it from meat or like cheese or dairy or anything, you know, like there's no other like good sources for that. At the time though, like weirdly, I'd still be able to eat those things and I didn't notice it too much. It feels like it would just get worse sometimes. I just spilled like powder everywhere. And then as I've gotten older, more things have come up as irritants, as I could say, like, because I'm not allergic to anything apparently. More recently, within the past couple years, tomatoes and strawberries, and that makes me so sad. And I actually felt like it was hard to breathe, and that's why I'm like fully convinced it was an allergy, but the doctors say it wasn't. I do want to get retested for that, but anyways, those types of things like make it incredibly hard to you know, eat nutritious things. What else am I gonna be allergic to? And if this looks crazy, just don't say anything. I'm also not leaving the house, so it's fine. Now let's get into 2023, which is when I decided to start eating meat again. I decided to eat meat in July of 2023. And leading up to that, there was a lot that had gone on in my personal life that affected that decision, and I think affected the way my body felt, which ultimately led to the decision I made. But first and foremost, I was dealing with my first ever like close loss, and I felt like my world was just crumbling down. I also had started school again. I went to beauty school, and while I was in beauty school, I was in school Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So I was there 3 days a week. I was working the other 4 days out of the week because the bills don't stop. Like I live on my own with my boyfriend, and the bills just they never stop. So I had to work still, and you know, I reduced my hours, so I had to work. I literally could not afford to call out and be gone or nothing. But that and school and like the pressure and the stress of being in school and having to pay bills and my grieving and my really unsupportive work environment. And I'm not even talking about like the people I worked with, I'm talking about my manager. She was really not supportive during my grieving process and extremely selfish with her own personal matters. So none of it was all just like a recipe for disaster, honestly. I was extremely tired all of the time. Like I could barely I felt like I was going like this all the time. Like I was like, I cannot keep my eyes open right now. I cannot even barely stay awake. I felt like something was wrong with me. And it got to a point where like there was a couple times I asked my boyfriend to pick me up early from school because I was like, I don't know what's going on. I just do not feel good. Like something, I don't know what's going on, but like I do not feel good like at all. And I just need to sleep. And I felt like I was being super lazy and like, I don't know, but there was times where like my body was so tired, I would get home, lay down, and my body would shake. Like it would be trembling, and I don't know, I was hot, I was shaking, like it was really bad, and I felt really weird. And it never really dawned on me that it could have been, you know, mineral deficiencies that have built up over the years, and especially in the last year. So that was like a really big thing. I'll say people, and maybe this is true for people, but like people say all the time that like, oh, you know, after a while, like I don't even remember the taste of meat, like I don't miss it at all, blah 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 blah. I could not say the same like at all. During the whole entire time that I was vegetarian, I still remember the taste of meat. I was not disgusted by the idea of it. I worked in a Mexican restaurant as my first job when I was 16, so that was like 3 years into being vegetarian, and like that meat always smelled so good, but there would be times where I would still crave it every now and then. And honestly, I think that was my body just telling me, oh, hey light. My body just telling me I needed it. My boyfriend also was vegetarian, pescatarian with me. As long as we've been together, he's been vegetarian, pescatarian. He had been pescatarian since 2019. So he was in pretty deep too. But he actually had vocalized it before I did and was like, I think I want to eat meat again. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, you know, I think it's time. And I was like so sad, and I actually cried about it because like I do a lot of the cooking for him. It's never because it's an expectation, it's just I truly do love cooking, and I feel like that's how I express my love is through my cooking. And so at first I was like, what the hell, like I won't be able to cook for you anymore. I was like, we're not even gonna eat the same stuff anymore. Like that's like a, you know, food is a bonding thing, culturally, socially. I was pretty emotional about it, but I thought about it more, and I was like, you know, maybe it is time. And it's not like, I would say that like him bringing it up sparked the conversation, but I wouldn't say that I did it because he was doing it, you know? I don't want there to be that like misunderstanding of like, oh, you did it because he was going back. No, I made that decision on my own. He didn't pressure me. He actually like stopped talking about it didn't act on it, but then one day I was like, you know, I think it is time. And to be so truthful, I was okay, so it was that time of month, and I was craving beef pho extremely bad. Like, it was to a point where I was like, you know what, I don't know if it's because you've brought it up, but I really do think like this is something my body needs and is missing and could be really helpful for me with how tired I've been. Like, we talked about it and we sat on it for a couple more days, because honestly I almost felt guilty, which is something else I wanted to touch on, is like there's a lot of shaming in the plant-based community on like doing it right or like being the perfect person with it, and like if you know, don't eat this way or, you know, stuff like that, then you're like a bad person or the decisions you make are bad. And it almost gives like like culty vibes. Like, I don't know how to describe it without sounding kind of crazy, but like it definitely feels like there's like a culty aspect to the plant-based community, which I just never ever felt a part of. Because along with it feeling kind of culty, like there's like obviously like propaganda with that, and that's something like I don't think is talked about enough in that community. Is like there's obviously truth behind facts of why people should be plant-based or vegetarian, like some environmental aspects, but like now that plant-based stuff is such a big craze, it's quite damaging to the environment to also be plant-based. So, and I can make a whole separate video about that, but there's like, you know, they're making soy farms and like destroying native agriculture to build in stuff to make more room for soy products, and the amount of water that it takes to make almond milk and oat milk and all those milks, like it's got its own problems that can be equally as damaging. Not to mention all the plant-based meats are filled with carcinogens and that's its own health problem. Like at that point it's like it's not really much healthier. If anything, it's worse because it's just filled with chemicals to mock the taste, which is something I noticed because I always felt sick after eating Beyond Burgers. My stomach never felt right eating those. But yeah, I like the thought of eating meat when I first was like getting into it felt extremely wrong, and it felt extremely guilty, and I felt like at that point I had wasted 10 years of my life. Like I felt like, you know, all this shit that I've been standing on for years is for nothing now, which is not a good way to look at it at all. And if you are thinking of making the switch, don't think like that, because I did, and it really messed with me and it like hindered my acceptance to the journey and what my body actually needed and wanted. Because it's not a waste. You should have experienced something, and experience is never a waste of time. You learn stuff, lessons are never a waste of time. That's kind of what I walked away from with that, in that regard. It's also like an aspect that I didn't realize, and it's quite vulnerable to talk about, but when I was really young, because I grew up in the early 2000s, you know, body shaming and like diet culture and body standards were very different, and like the slimmer you were, the more pretty you were, and I didn't realize it, but I was definitely struggling with forms of eating disorders when I was very young, and as young as 12, because I remember in 6th grade seeing how long I could go without eating. That was definitely a thing, and you know, I was scared to get big. I've always been extremely small my whole entire life, so there was definitely a point in time where I was actively trying to stay small. I also realized that I created this habit for myself of this lifestyle of being plant-based when I was only 13, and that was around the time where I still had these ideas of, you know, of a certain image being what I needed to be. And while that's not the main thing and the main reason why I became vegetarian, I think it definitely played a role into like the controlling aspect and the aspect of restricting my eating and feeling that control that people feel when they have when they feel that they can control things like an eating disorder. And I didn't put that together until after I started eating meat again. I stopped eating meat at a very young age, and I had already hit puberty, but you know, I wasn't done. And you know, I thought about maybe how that could have affected how I developed and how I grew. It was a hard thing to really process and learn that that's something that I was subconsciously doing. I'm a lot better now. I think, you know, I don't struggle with thoughts like that anymore. I am actively always trying to better myself, and I've been going to the gym to try and gain weight for years. And I don't think I have the video up anymore, but I had a video up in 2018 where I talked about my issues with antidepressants and losing weight. And honestly, ever since I got off antidepressants, it's been extremely hard to do anything with my weight. But that's a whole different story again. I have so many stories. Okay, I need help. You're not gonna be able to help me. Okay, let's see. Because I don't want it to be too crazy with the eye look. This is medium brown. Okay. Hot cocoa. That might be too dark for the occasion. And then brown cafe. I think I'll go with this one, brown cafe. So yeah, like having to really learn through those things and learning that there's also ethical ways to eat meat. Like, you know, I can still pick local farms. We try our best to get organic meats if we can. We get it from the counter because it at our local like news seasons, it shows like which farm it comes from and everything, which I really appreciate. But we'll also get like the packaged meat if we have to. Like, we're not fully against it. And also like just realizing what's realistic for us as people in our 20s. Sorry, this can be really hard to talk when I do this. People in our 20s who, you know, don't have the budget all the time for organic, grass-fed, pasture raised, you know, like all that stuff. Can I just say, I have like a ridge on my lip like that, and it makes it extremely hard to line my lips because I feel like it looks like I'm overlining, but I'm getting right where the line is. See, because now it looks like I missed a spot. Cute. Okay, now I'm just gonna put some lip gloss on top. Pretty. Now this, and I have no idea what I'm gonna do with my hair. I'm gonna try something new. Also, let me show you guys how long my hair is. It's kind of crazy. It's getting pretty long now. I never wear it like this because it just doesn't feel like it fits me. But this is how long it is. With makeup, nothing looks that bad. Like, I feel like I could even just sweep it like that, and even that doesn't look too bad. It's not my style, but I'm just saying it don't look too bad with makeup on. But without makeup, I'd be feeling like these looks are definitely questionable. Now that it's been some time, I can definitely say I have way more energy. I'm still like a sleepy girl. I think that's just who I am and who I will always be. Hold on. Okay, we're gonna just pretend like this side cooperated. This is the best I can get. Pretend. You see the vision though. You see it. You see it. Giving very much 1920s, 1930s flapper girl. Ready to end this video now, but I'll end it with how I feel now. And I feel really good now. I'm happy with the choices I've made. I'm happy that, you know, even though I did go back to eating meat, I'm glad that I still had that journey. And it's been really fun learning how to cook different things. Since I gave up meat so early, there's a lot of food I didn't try, so it's been fun like learning new foods and adapting to different things, and, you know, knowing that no matter where I go, culturally, I'll be able to try everything as long as there's not, you know, bananas and avocados and tomatoes and those things in it. Knowing that I'll be able to try everything and be able to fully indulge in different cultures is really important to me. Listening to my body has been amazing. I'm glad that I was able to do that. What was good for me when I was 13 isn't always going to be good for me forever. And honestly, it's not a sustainable lifestyle, at least, you know, for a good majority of people, because there's so many things that we need to eat. Where, you know, my ancestors were meat eaters and probably hunters, and lineage of people that ate meat and need meat. So I just, as soon as I started listening to that part of my body again, even spiritually, I felt just more connected and more in tune with my ancestral lineage. And yeah, I think just giving that faith and trust to my own body, just relearning myself. And I feel like I don't know, it's just been a really cool journey. I'm glad that, you know, it went the way it went, and I don't regret a single part of it. Yeah, I would say for me, the only meat that's hard for me to digest sometimes is beef, and I think it's just the fat on the beef. Because when I eat like leaner cuts, I'm fine. But like burgers are sometimes hard for me. I do like the fat on steak, and when we first ate steak again, I was definitely eating up all the pieces with fat, and yeah, my stomach did not take that well. But I've kind of always been that way with like fried greasy stuff anyways. I think just that like content of fat was just a little too much for me. And I think I could probably just build that back up, but I did not. I didn't even try to build it up. I just went full in. I'm really thankful for everything that it was, and, you know, I haven't really thought back on the person I was when I didn't eat meat, because now it just feels so normal to eat meat again. I do also like pray over the meat, and I thank it for providing for me, because I didn't want to lose that connection, you know, like I said, that disconnect between people and where their food comes from. And I still wanted to take the time to thank the animal for, you know, feeding me and nourishing me. I still do that when I'm cooking, especially. I don't pray too much over my food once it's done, but I definitely put that intention like while I'm cutting it and preparing it. That's a big thing for me, and has been ever since I started eating meat again. So yeah, it's been a cool journey, and I'm happy that I saw through every bit of it. Thank you guys for being here and listening. This is the final look, by the way. I'm really upset about the hair, but I'll come back to this. I've just never done it, and like, I didn't know if I should use mousse. I have gel here, but I don't really want to put gel in my hair, but I ended up putting a shitload of mousse in my hair, so yeah, we'll try this again another day. It's okay. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if there's anything else you guys want me to talk about in the future. If you have any questions on like just things that I mentioned in the video, let me know in the comments. Or if you have any similar feelings, or you're going through, you know, if you want to start eating meat again or not, yeah, just let's chat. I do respond to comments, so if you'd like to chit chat with me about anything, drop it down in the comments. Don't forget to give this video a like. If you like this video, subscribe to the channel, because both of those things help me very much. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.